Hoka, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of July the 11th, 2025, the Damascus Blade and the Warrior's Code, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, Creek Indian from Denver, Colorado, and with me is Lee, and he is from Fountain, Colorado, which is about 80 miles south of me, I think. So how's it going, Lee?
Yeah, going pretty good so far.
Yep, and I forgot to do this. So so how are things down there in Fountain?
A bit on the warm side. Fine.
Yes.
Otherwise. Looks like we might have rain soon.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get some rain yesterday, and it did. Well, as they say down in Florida, it sprinkled, but we didn't get too much in the way of rain, So you have to kind of make sure that grass gets watered, or else it kind of, shrivels up pretty fast, So, so anyway, Angelus, I think Angelus will be here today. I'm not sure about his work schedule this week. Vladi will not be here because he is basically I think he's got to get up early to work tomorrow. So anyway, it is what it is. And we got the LA Fires fundraiser going on still, and we haven't had a donation for a while, but we're going to keep it up. And if you haven't donated, we sure would appreciate it if you can spare the money. There's the link under the image on the screen there. That link is down in the description. You click on it, takes you to the website. You can specify that your donation be anonymous, or you can put your name in there, kind of like Angelus and I did. And or you can use your internet handle, sort of like Blotti did. And any amount, no amount is too small, and we would appreciate it to help those folks in Los Angeles that lost their homes. I mean, it's been a while for sure. It's been like 8 months, I think, since that fire, kind of mostly impacted the Pacific Palisades area, I think, but there were something like 2,000 homes that were destroyed or something like that. So I believe somewhere in that area. But anyway, that's horrible. So if you can, spare a few bucks and or euros or pounds or dineros or whatever your currency is, we sure would appreciate it. And we got the Alita sequel petition going still, and we got nearly 178,500. So we're moving right along. I don't think we got any more signatures this past week. I mean, I'm kind of promoting it myself, on my channel, and I'm kind of got two promotions going on at once here. But if you haven't signed the petition, please do so. You just enter your name and email address. You can specify that to be anonymous so people won't see it if you're concerned about, getting your name out in the public sphere. So you can donate if you want. You do not have to. It's optional, so you don't have to worry about that. So anyway, there's the link on the image below in the screen there. Below the image, rather, is the link. And below in the description, that link is there as well. And we have Rosa's Queen Studios bust of Alita. Thank goodness I didn't say we have Alita's Queen Studios of Rosa. So I get that mixed up sometimes because Alita is Rosa and Rosa is Alita. So, So anyway, we have it. It's in the box, ready to go whenever she's ready for it. She knows we have it. She wants it. And we will get it to her whenever the time is right. I suspect when they greenlight the Alita sequel, that will be the opportune time right there, I think. So anyway, we want to give this to Rosa, not as a gift. This is an expression of our admiration, appreciation, and affection for our queen, because she's great. And we sure do appreciate her. And, we were so lucky to get hers to play Alita, because she is just a superb actor, just really, really great, and an all-around good person, I think, So anyway, we get this to her when she wants it, and that'll be that. We got the Alita Gaming Network going on. I checked on it. I think we got 46 members. So we're keeping it small on purpose, really. We're not really pushing it very hard at all, you know, except on this stream and Radio Chaos, we mention it. But we're not really promoting it per se, you know. But if you do live streams yourself, if you do, then certainly feel free to, you know, put the link for your live stream into the Alita Gaming Network. If you do fanfics, you know, you can put your fanfic in there. It can be either a link or it could be a short, because I think you can upload documents as well. I know Lee's fanfic is in there. Maxie's fanfic is in there. Channel's got some in there. I think Panini Freak's got something in there as well. And you know, it's just kind of a good proving ground, you know. So I see Angelus is out there in the chat. So good day, Angelus. Yeah, Rosa Uwu, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We really love our queen, that's for sure. If you do like artwork or something like that, or you do videos, you can upload that as well into User Creations text channel. If you want to hang out, I know Vladi and Smendrick now. I think Smendrick's a little under the weather, so he hasn't been able to hang out too much in the gaming channel, but that's where they usually hang out, is in the gaming channel. All three of those voice channels, you know, are there. So if you want to hang out with some other folks on the network, you can. We do watch parties. Now, we didn't do a watch party last Monday because I got caught up in work. So, but you know, as soon as I'm available, you know, we'll be able to start doing watch parties again on Monday. We don't do it every Monday, but you know, probably every third Monday or something like that, we do a watch party. Last time, I think we watched Chariot, which was a movie that Rosa was in, and it was a really, really interesting movie. I didn't like the ending, but that's the way it goes. And we have watched her Star Trek short on there, and certainly we've watched Alita Battle Angel on there for sure. But we've also watched somewhat related movies, like I think we watched Rollerball one time on the Watch Party channel, and we watched Ghost in the Shell, I think, which are kind of similar in some ways. You know, Rollerball is similar to Motorball, and Ghost in the Shell, you know, Scarlett Johansson plays a cyborg there as well. So, you know, it's kind of similar in some ways. But it doesn't cost anything. You do have to have a Discord username, and that doesn't cost you anything. And to join our network, that doesn't cost you anything either. All you got to do is click on that link you see below our little Chibi Alita mascot right there. And you'll get an invite. You come on in, and then, you know, you don't need my approval or Matu's approval. You can just jump right in there and, you know, start, you know, having fun with it like we're all having. So, okay. So you guys ready for this? Now, this could be a relatively short stream tonight because I got something going a little bit later. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is there are some similarities here, and we're going to, as we go through it, we'll, you know, point those out. But, you know, certainly Damascus Blade, we all know what that is. The Damascus Blade is that, you know, weapon that's been forged by the Technique, and it's, you know, kind of, you know, it's really an ultra advanced weapon. It can conduct plasma, and it's, you know, it's honed to a monomolecular edge, and it's I guess made of an alloy that I think we've had a discussion about this before, but it's an alloy that's similar to Beskar, I think. You know, that it's highly resistant, you know, to energy, which it would have to be to you know, be able to, you know, conduct plasma like that without melting, you know, because plasma is awfully hot. You know, I mean, I think we've tried to figure out how hot that is. Could be anywhere from 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit to 30,000.
Also have to be capable of not conducting the heat back to the wielder.
Yeah, that's right. So it does absorb energy, kind of like that Beskar does in Star Wars universe. But some of the, we're going to kind of go through a couple of slides here and then, you know, discuss that. But, you know, how does, you know, for instance, the symbolism of this weapon itself. To me, this weapon is very similar in terms of how she wields it, and what it means is that it's similar to Thor's Mjolnir, is what it is, in my opinion. Now, it's not like you have to be worthy, you know, to be able to pick it up for sure, you know. But in this particular case, Alita, I do that a lot, you know, I don't know what to say. But Alita, you know, she is the only cyborg in this universe that can, you know, kind of generate plasma, you know. Now, anybody can use a Damascus Blade for sure, but they can't use it and engulf it with plasma. So that, in a way, that's kind of similar to Thor's you have to be worthy type thing to pick up his, pick up Mjolnir, you know. How does it reflect on her growth? For me, I think it's kind of, well, she obtains it from, you know, from Zapan. Zapan, what did have it, and then, of course, she cut his face off, and that means she overpowered him, so she gets the weapon, you know. I'm not sure how that worked with Thor. I think Thor got Mjolnir from Odin, and he was determined to be, you know, worthy, I guess, you know. And we're certainly going to talk a little bit more about, you know, kind of the, I guess you could say, mindset or the training or something like, in other words, the military, you know, kind of mindset, the honor and stuff like that. And we'll even talk about Panzerkunst, how that fits into that for the most part. So I got a couple of slides coming up after this anyway. So Lee, what's your take on this in terms of how this weapon, you know, how it plays into Alita's, you know, just sort of overall presence?
Well, it seems to be sort of a signature weapon of hers, kind of like Mjolnir, like you were mentioning with Thor.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know. I hadn't actually really thought about it. I figured it was just like a very high-tech weapon that goes well with her body.
Yeah.
That she, like you mentioned, she beat Zapan with it, who she saw as undeserving of it. And
yes.
So took it for herself after he tried to have Hugo killed.
Yeah, he kind of framed Hugo, didn't he? I mean,
I don't think he kind of framed it.
Well, he did frame him.
Yeah.
It wasn't kind of. Yeah, it was actually he framed him. Yeah, you know, because he killed Demetrius Polito's character, you know, which they didn't name that cyborg, but and then blamed it on Hugo, you know, and then killed Tanji, you know. So, and I think with Alita too is that I think she viewed Zapan as kind of like I wouldn't say a weakling, but it's like you said, an undeserving miscreant almost, if you want to think of it like that, you know. And of course, he's threatening her, the one she loves, and that is absolutely the wrong thing you want to do with her. I mean, she will carve you up. You know?
Yeah. Well, she didn't seem to have a very high opinion of any of the hunter warriors in that bar, including Zapan.
Yeah. Well, that's right. She said, "I am not impressed." You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, she just really didn't see anything. I think she probably saw them all, according to the novelization, she saw them all as like blowhards or some big egos, but you know,
yeah,
picking on, you know, smaller humans or something that don't have their strength and stuff like that.
Going after easy targets they could get rich off of.
Yeah, that's right.
Having to really risk themselves.
Yeah, that's right. So, so I don't know about the growth part of it. I mean, she does deserve it because she took it away from Zapan, you know, because he was.
It could be sort of in a way her more closely embracing her warrior nature.
What do you mean?
Well, she takes a weapon worthy of her
warrior
status,
see.
And that is also closely tied with the berserker body that she uses.
Yeah, that's right. And that's right. She viewed Zapan as not deserving of it, and it's more tuned to her body. So
Yeah, as
it's
Angelus pointed out, the potential is not realized unless linked to an berserker body, because it's also technology.
yeah, that's right. And in her case, I think, and I've done videos on this, and I think we had some streams on it a while back. It's like one of the things that berserkers have is that, you know, they go through all this training and they learn these techniques and everything. But one thing they have that is unique to them is called their own style. You know, and in her case, it's the ability to emit and control plasma. You know, like she's doing right there in that image.
Which I suspect they may change to some degree in the movieverse, because it seems that the berserker body, which was used by all the berserkers,
Yeah,
just has a built-in ability to generate that arc plasma.
yeah,
But yeah, in the manga, it was more something that she was the only one that used plasma as any kind of a weapon.
yeah. And I don't think either that, I don't recall in the manga if they did call it the Damascus Blade. I can't remember. Did they call it that in the manga? I
No.
can't remember. Yeah, I didn't
Oh, I know.
think they did.
They called the. I think there was a blade that she had made in the scrapyard when she was on the motorball circuit that got put together for her by a weaponsmith.
Yeah,
And because he used a certain method of crafting the blade that utilized a bunch of different types of alloys of varying qualities, it
yeah,
created a pattern on the blade very reminiscent of the Damascus steel from Old Earth. So I think
yeah.
it was called the Damascus Blade because of that.
Oh, I see. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's just something that Rodriguez and Caligridis and Cameron saw the opportunity to use that particular name, I guess, for the blade. I guess, yeah, because it'd be kind of interesting. Like on Mars, why would they call a material that was an alloy that they developed? Why would they call that Damascus? That's a very Earth-like thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would think they would call it something else, you know. So anyway, what we were talking about, her taking that blade away from Zapan, kind of fits into that third bullet right there. She didn't think Zapan deserved the blade. You know, you do not deserve such a weapon, she says. You know, after she kind of flips it over with her foot over there, and it rams halfway into the wall, which is made of concrete. So you know, that was kind of awesome, I think. You know, but. Yeah, that whole thing about, you know, she probably does view herself as I'm not going to say worthy, but as deserving of the Damascus Blade and not him. She probably views that this is a travesty that he's got the Damascus Blade, something made by the Technique, and he's got it and he doesn't deserve it. And you can kind of pick that up in the movie when he said, you know, he was describing it to her and she was looking at it and everything, like in awe of it, you know. And then she finally says, "Well, who did you have to kill to obtain it?" So, you know, and of course he did not answer. So I imagine in her mind that she probably just thought of him as a ne'er-do-well, you know, piece of crap that shouldn't have something as fine and as advanced, you know, as a Damascus Blade, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, putting up her it says martial honor there, but her whole military training up against the brutality of the folks that are trying to kill her, like, you know, Growishka, Nisiana was, so was, well, Roma wasn't trying to kill her. She didn't give him a chance, actually. I mean, he was ground and pounded, you know, pretty fast. You know, he didn't stand much of a chance at all, you know. but you know, and then of course in that bar, she was damn near whipping every one of their butts, you know, in that bar, you know.
Yep.
So in the Kansas bar. So, but and I think Lee, in your fanfic, I think you even kind of touch on the brutality of the cyborgs that are there, how little regard some of them have for humans. You know, it's like they're
Well, Jason gets subjected to some of that brutality. So
a couple of times, doesn't he? So,
Yeah.
or as far as I've gotten in the thing. So to me, it's almost like she thinks of them as like bullies, doesn't she? I mean,
I think so. I think she may see most of them as just basically using their strength just to push around weaker people.
Yeah. And
I mean,
I
maybe
think
not all of them, but it seems like she does see at least some of them, the hunter warriors, probably Zapan in particular, as basically just bullies. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's, you know, she's like the high school kid, or at least when I went to high school, you know, there were bullies and stuff like that, you know, but there would always be like one kid there in high school that was kind of like maybe a football player or a wrestler or something like that, that stood up above all the bullies and they didn't mess with them. You know, that's kind of what she is. You know, now in her case, I think since the factory's after her, or at least Nova, and at some point, you know, I guess Vector, you know, wanted to get her heart. You know, it's because it's certainly got awesome power. You know, and you know, that's that right there. You know, it kind of puts her in a class like I guess she's considered a threat to the you know, status quo or something like that, and they see that as a threat, her as a threat. Also, they see her as having something that they really want. Before we get too far gone here, I want to say hi to Angelus. Of course, it's out there. I believe, Angelus, you're at work. I'm not sure. And I see AKA out there, Alita the Killing Angel. AKA, I actually commented on a couple of the comments you left on videos, so you can check those out. And of course, let's see who else is out there in the chat. Yeah, we don't have a lot of folks out in the chat, but that's okay. But anyway, I think, yeah, Alita's, you know, she's flung into a world that you know, she's been asleep for 300 years in the movie, 200 years in the manga, but she's been asleep all that time. She wakes up, she slowly comes to beginning to come to the realization of who she is, and she thinks it's just weak, you know, for these cyborgs to be picking on lesser beings, I guess, in terms of strength. I see Chaos Nova's out there. Chaos, I sent you a link if you wanted to come on. And I think for her, she just sees that as a sign of weakness. I think, you know, they're going to pick on humans because they're stronger and stuff like that, you know, and she doesn't like that, I don't think, especially if you try to go after her family. Or her friends or loved ones. That is exactly the wrong thing to do with her. You just definitely don't want to do that, you know. So.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're kind of moving on here. Let me pull this up, and we mentioned a couple of this already, and we all know this. All of us in the Alita Army know a lot of this, but we do know it was forged by, you know, some metallurgists, you know, that work for the Technique, and you know, they, like, say it's a super advanced weapon in terms of a sword. You know, to me, I think it's more than a sword. Myself, it kind of transcends that. Hello there, Chaos Nova from Mentor, Ohio. Are you in Pennsylvania now?
Your weapon.
Looks like you got some company there, Chaos.
Hello.
Yeah. You in Pennsylvania yet, Chaos? Chaos, can you hear me?
I will fight you.
Hey, Chaos, I'm gonna mute you because You're hearing all that background noise. Okay, yeah.
Sounds like he
Chaos.
might have his hands full.
Yeah, I think he did. Oh, he just dropped off. Whoa. Anyway, as I was saying, it's a super advanced weapon. And, you know, I know Maxie's pointed this out, but if you look at the blade itself, you know, it's got all these little intricate, what looks like what you would see on a circuit board or something like that. And that is to help it conduct and channel the plasma, you know. Now, we've had discussions of whether or not, you know, Alita generates the plasma or whether or not she can make the blade, you know, actually generate plasma. I know she can generate it because we saw that in the movie. But in her motorball body, does she have the ability to generate the plasma? Let's say in her motorball body, did he put, you know, those plasma emitters in her motorball body? I'm not sure, you know. Yeah, that's right. Most likely coils to generate a magnetic field. Yep, that's right. Chaos for sure. And as we heard Zapan say when he was kind of describing it to her, that the Damascus Blade, the edge of it is monomolecular. Now, you probably know what that means, but it means the blade itself, the blade edge, is like one molecule thick, which means it would be extremely sharp. You know, I mean, you couldn't even touch it without it cutting your finger pretty bad, let's say, you know. And of course, the material itself is, they don't go into it in the movie, and I don't recall them doing it in the novelization either. But it's got to be some kind of special alloy to be able to withstand that plasma, because that plasma is hot. And it's got to have some kind of energy absorbing feature. So it's like Lee was saying a while ago, because if it doesn't have that, whoever's wielding, you know, that blade is going to, you know, it's going to get hot. You know, I mean, it's going to be like anywhere up to 30,000 degrees.
Well, I would say it would need the opposite of energy absorbing. It would need some kind of energy reflecting ability. So it
so it doesn't injure the person that's wielding the blade. Now, if it's like Zapan, he doesn't have to worry about that because he doesn't have plasma emitters in his body, you know.
Yeah.
But Alita does, you know, so, and it could be that Alita's body itself, you know, has that kind of reflective quality to it, to where she can emit the plasma, because we saw her put her finger up in the air and plasma was on the end of her finger. It seems to me that would have to be the same as the blade, you know, I mean, because even the coolest plasma you would get would still burn you, I mean, worse than a fire would, because what plasma is, it's really ionized, you know, gas is what it really is. So it's very much fire, but it's also, you know, molecules, or rather atoms that have had an electron removed. You know, so I mean, it's a potent weapon, you know, because when she slices with it, it's not just the heat that you got to worry about. And the blade itself, made of that special alloy, is pretty tough, you know, and it's not just that. But the fact that that plasma is ionized means when it touches something, it is going to strip the electrons off of the, you know, off of the atoms, or whatever it touches, or it's going to affect it in some way. So it's kind of like a triple whammy. You know, that thing, she cuts you with that thing. You don't have to exert much pressure at all. You just touch somebody with it, and it'll cut their arm off or something like that, you know.
Well, I don't know if you remember the fight scene with the Centurions. If you look closely at each one that she attacks, it leaves behind a trail of molten metal where the blade cut into the Centurion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tearing through them real easily.
Yeah, for sure. Chaos says a magnetic field reserves for the iron so they don't touch matter. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, probably when she cuts it, it may not be that the metal touches the touches the metal that it's cutting, like in say.
Well, I think he means that so that the it doesn't have to have as much of a durability versus the plasma, because the magnetic field protects the blade from the plasma surrounding it.
Yeah, well, that's true. But what I was getting at is like when she cuts with that blade, if it's engulfed with plasma, the metal on the blade itself probably or may not touch the metal. Like when she sliced Gruishka in half, you know, it could be that the blade itself didn't actually touch him. It could be that the ionized gas is what started separating him apart before the metal actually touched him. You know, I mean, it could be that. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm just speculating. You know, so what is this? Particle accelerates the magnetic field of the plasma, doesn't touch it. Oh, yeah, that's right. So okay. So anyway, that blade also has the ability, it's kind of like Lee was saying, it's got kind of a reflective capability, but it also has the ability to conduct the plasma. So you see it going all the way to the end of the blade there. So it just kind of runs up and down those what looks like little circuits, you know, up and down that blade, you know, and it engulfs the blade. And now we don't know. It could be that the blade itself, it could be that blade, or at least her ability to control it, not the blade, but her ability, she could probably vary the temperature on that thing too, I think. But we don't know.
Well, I would imagine so. I mean, if she can emit the plasma, you saw the little flame that she made in the clinic when she first got her body. Yeah. So it was just a small amount of plasma. And then when she fought Gruishka, she had the whole blade lit up like that.
Well, it makes me wonder that if she can say, you know, for sure it's going to be at least 11,000 degrees, because that's what I computed one time. But Maxie pointed out that it could be more than that, you know. Who knows? Maybe she could emit or she could control it to the point where it goes up to, say, 100,000 degrees. We don't know, you know. If that was the case, if she has that kind of control over it, then, you know, that's going to be a weapon that, you know, she doesn't have to actually make contact with you. She just gets that blade near you and it's going to strip the electrons off of your matter, you know, or at least disrupt them to a certain point, you know, or like the protons, rather positively charged. So, you know, they're trying to hold the electrons. And of course, if the ionized gas is going to be, you know, it's going to have electrons stripped off of it, so that the atoms that are in the plasma are going to be positively charged. So if she touches something with it, it's going to strip the electrons off of it immediately, you know. So it's going to have, you know, a pretty bad effect on anything that she cuts you with, if she tries to cut you, or if you're an enemy and she cuts you in half like she did Gruishka. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like, I guess, Zapan said, you know, I mean, it was honed to a monomolecular edge and it slices armor like butter. Well, just think of what it does when she has that plasma around it. I mean, it's even worse than that. I mean, I mean, she's affecting the matter on the atomic level when she swings that blade and hits you with it, you know?
Yep.
Well, I think this goes back to what Lee was saying a while ago, AKA, is that it's probably the blade itself. It's probably got some kind of either reflective or it could even have like a oscillating kind of reflection and then absorption or something like that. Who knows? Because it's a technology we can't comprehend right now, you know. But if it was just pure plasma sitting out there, the air would get hot. You know, I mean, it would definitely would. You know, I mean, it would. It's kind of like you sitting next to a heater. You know, I mean, the closer you get to the heater, the hotter it gets. So, and I would think the plasma would be the same thing, but we don't know what the technology of this blade is, what's built into it and stuff like that, because obviously it's not doing that to the air that she's swinging, swinging the blade through.
Well, an arc plasma torch in today's technology doesn't do that either. It keeps the plasma stream confined to just the tip of the welder.
Yep. We see the bad man out there too. He's just joined us. That's cool. So yes, the blade is pretty astonishing. You know, it's not only has the ability to conduct plasma, but it has the ability to protect the wielder if it's like Alita, you know. And yeah, that's right, Chaos. Lightning is actually plasma in the air. That's right. So, and of course, as I mentioned a while ago, you know, in some ways, this is similar to Mjolnir, you know, Thor's hammer, because, you know, she can use it to direct her attacks. But, you know, and if you saw, I guess, Thor Ragnarok, where Odin tells Thor that, you know, he says, I can't beat Hela because I don't have my hammer, you know, and he says, what are you, the god of hammers? Something like that.
Yeah.
And he said that hammer was just there to help you focus your power. You know, you have the power. Well, that's the same thing with her. She has the power. She doesn't need that blade, you know, to hit you with plasma. I mean, she can engulf her fist with plasma and hit you with that and have the same effect. You know, I mean,
probably all the way up to her shoulder if from what you see in the vents when she first uses it in the clinic.
Yeah.
So probably her entire arms could be sheathed in the plasma.
Now the Berserkers, when they attacked Zalem, of course, and the other 11 floating cities, probably it's, you know, well, I wouldn't say all the Berserkers had the ability to generate plasma, but they probably, the special ones like Alita, you know, because she was in special ops, you know, she wasn't just a grunt, you know, as they would say in the military. And, you know, those folks, all of them certainly would have Berserker bodies that would, you know, be able to, you know, generate plasma. But in the time frame she is now, 300 years later, and she only discovered one body in that ship, then that means she is the only person that can, in her time right now at that point, she is the only person that can wield that Damascus blade and engulf it with plasma. None of the other cyborgs can do this. You know, they can use the blade for sure, but it won't have near the power that it has in her, that it does in her hands.
Yep.
You know, just because of what that plasma can do to you. What is this, Chaos? Yep. Well, she's special, that's for sure. Of course, in our hearts, she's special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also going to mention too, even if there were other cyborgs that could generate and channel plasma like she can, none of them have the power source to back it up as well as she does.
Yeah, that's true. She's got that antimatter microreactor heart, which, my goodness, that could put a lot of energy into that plasma generator or emitters. Yeah, I mean, if she can power a city for years like that, you know, maybe she can. Who knows how hot she can make that plasma? You know, I mean, it could be 1,000,000 degrees. You don't know. You know, we just they don't go into it too much. You know, on that. So, any other thoughts about this, Lee?
Not really. We don't really have a whole lot of information on the sword specifically, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get some more when they greenlight the sequel.
Yep.
You know, because I'm pretty sure.
Find out a little bit more about how it was made, where it was made, who specifically carried it in the Berserker ranks.
Yeah, we know who made it. We just don't know. You know, we don't know the background on it, the basis of it, or like you say, how it was made.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is this? What? Like in the manga, okay. Okay, yep. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just think, you know, I think Alita in her time right now, she is unique. You know, no other cyborg is like her.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why Nova sees her as such a threat to his power, because she's the only one with the ability to threaten his power.
Yeah.
There's nobody else who can.
Yeah. If you remember, we had a discussion, oh, I think it was a couple of years ago, we had Mike Reyes on with us, and we were talking about the Damascus Blade as compared to lightsabers. You know, they're a little bit different, you know, for sure, because the lightsaber doesn't need metal, you know, to you know, house or engulf the plasma and stuff like that, you know, with it. But we, you know, since, you know, this alloy is probably similar in some ways to Beskar, or say adamantium or vibranium or something like that, you know, where it does have that ability to contain energy like it does. You know, we said, well, it's, you know, probably similar, you know. Now maybe a lightsaber would be able to cut it in half, but we don't know, because lightsabers can't cut Beskar in half. It's, you know, it's resistant, you know. So the Damascus blade may be the same thing. You know, it may not, you know, it may not be vulnerable, you know, to say a lightsaber. We just don't know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Warrior's Code, where she is different than some of these other cyborgs that are just beaten up on, you know, people. They're going for easy marks. And then Zapan's case, he framed Hugo. Now, Hugo wasn't without his faults, for sure, you know, but he comes around, you know, he does, you know. Alita, you know, I guess, you know, gets him, you know, away from that, you know, jacking cyborgs, you know, because he's fallen in love with her, and he does, I guess he doesn't want to disappoint her or something like that, you know, and he sees that by jacking cyborgs, it's like he's attacking her, you know, and he doesn't want to do that, you know, not just because she'd kill him if he did, but,
well, it was
you know,
also, he had dehumanized his victims. They
yeah,
were just parts, walking parts to him.
yeah,
But when he met her, fell in love with her, started to become much more emotionally attached to her, that sort of forced him to start seeing other cyborgs as people as well.
yeah, that's right. So as opposed to just walking around resources for him to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, we've kind of gone over a lot of this already, but it is worth mentioning again. Of course, we do know Rosa. Jesus, I do this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll call her Alita too. Sometimes I do that too. But anyway, we do know Alita was in the Great War of the Fall. You know, we know that. You know, because we saw her, you know, on that supply tube with Gelda and the rest of those berserkers. You know, they you know, she had to have extraordinarily good training, you know, to be an armed berserker, as opposed to the cyborgs, even like Gruishka. You know, I mean, Gruishka, once she got that berserker body, well, she kicked his butt the first time, and she was in the doll body. You know, I mean, she kicked his ass. Rosa was not in a war and jealous. I hope for her sake. But anyway, it was Alita, yeah. But yeah, I think she has that very extraordinary training. Of course, you know, folks that are in the military, you know, even if they don't know combat, they get some training, you know, that enables them to protect themselves, or it could be that they get into a position where they're in combat, you know, if they're overseas or something like that, and they gotta be able to function, you know, whereas the average person walking around has no clue, you know, they wouldn't know what to do, you know, if that, whereas these cyborgs that are walking around that are her, I won't even call her contemporaries, well, they're her contemporaries, but they're certainly not her equals, that, you know, they're just big bullies, you know, is all they are. You know, they don't have any particular training whatsoever. You know, and you could see when Zapan attacked Alita with the Berserker Blade, he missed her twice, and she just calmly evaded him and then proceeded to beat the shit out of him. So anyway, and in her world, even amongst those cyborgs, she's like a metahuman. You know, they cannot stand up to her. You know, and she was pretty much, even in her doll body, was, you know, having her way with the people, those cyborgs in the bar. So anyway, and of course she, you know, the cyborgs in the alley, she kicked their butts. You know, I mean, it wasn't even, wasn't even a close fight. You know, I guess Nisiana's fight with her was fairly close, but you know, she had certainly no problem handling her. You know, so and then put her in the berserker body. You know, she's orders of magnitude even a better combatant, let's say, than the average cyborg that's running around in Iron City. You know, we got Lost Link out there as well. Hello there, Lost Link. Let's see where they could be stripping electrons out of oxygen. Yeah, and water. Yeah, I think one of the gas blade in the special. Yep. Yeah, we talked about that, what it would do to the air too. You know, if you stick plasma in water, I think it'd evaporate pretty fast. You know, it would go. It would not even go to a gas. Well, it probably would go to a gas, I guess. You know, it depends on how hot it was. You know, but there are cases they found in, you know, looking at exoplanets where planets get so hot, you know, that they don't go through a gaseous form. They go, you know, just, you know, straight from a solid, or they don't go into liquid form, or they go straight from solid to gas. They don't go through a liquid form because it's so hot, you know. What is this? Monomolecular materials. You know, Badman, I don't know. It may be made of the same materials. I don't know being monomolecular, because I remember when that defense ring came down and cut that supply tube they were on, and you saw it falling. It looked like to me almost, I mean, that's pretty advanced technology, that supply tube, but it still looked like to me that it was almost like stuff we could do today, probably. You know, so I'm not sure. But now the materials, you're right. The materials still might be resistant to damage like that. Possibly. That's right.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like I was mentioning before, it didn't look like any of the troops that were going up the tube had any kind of melee weapon equipped.
Yeah. They didn't even have rocket launchers, did they? They should have had that.
Yeah, you'd think they'd have some kind of an anti-vehicle weapon to deal with those defense rings, since they seem to know what it was.
Sort of seems like their military intelligence, which is an oxymoron, but you know, their military intelligence didn't do them a very good job, did they?
Unless they lost their heavy weapons troops on the way up.
Could be,
because they were already midway up the tube when the defense ring came down. So it could be they lost half their troop number on the way in.
But I mean, her training, you know, I mean, well, Lee, you can speak to this better than I can, because I mean, I was in the Defense Department for years, but only as a civilian, so I didn't get any training. Now, I was trained in karate, but that's not the same thing. You know, I mean, it's you know, it's a different mindset, isn't it, Lee? I think when you get in there of what you have to do, because especially like you go to boot camp. Mm-hmm. Nothing you do is right.
Yeah.
The drill instructor is going to be all over you no matter what you do. Nothing you do is right. Mm-hmm. You know, and they just drill that, if you'll pardon the expression, they just drill that into your mind, you know. And I think it better prepares you to handle, you know, different situations, and when it's extreme. And, you know, you get kind of tickled when you see some of these folks running around, you know, that are in cosplay, you know, like they're tough military guys or something like that. You go, nah, you guys, you know, mm-hmm. You know, you're not going to do very well if you get up against a real combatant, you know, that's trained, you know, has military training, you know. But yeah, she was in the Great War, and you know, we saw her, she was fighting on the moon, and we can only assume that the armed forces overwhelmed the, you know, Earth forces, because she later on got on the supply tube. So they had to have taken them out up there and then gone down to Earth, you know, to try to. Well,
they also mentioned, Hugo also mentioned when he was telling Alita what little they knew of what had happened, that Mars basically threw everything they had left at what remained of Earth's defenses. Yeah. So didn't seem like, from the sound of it, there didn't seem like there was much left on either side.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Usually in wars, especially if you get two high-tech civilizations like that, I don't see there'd be much left. You know, I mean, yeah, maybe 20th century and below, maybe, because you don't have the power, you know, that you would have, but in technology, you know. But anyway, what is this? The weapons could be too all key for the supply tube. Yeah, that's possible, Angelus. I don't know. But it seems to me that, you know, a super advanced civilization that has berserkers like that, the weapons I think they would have would be more miniaturized, maybe.
Well, that's the thing too. Even today, a single law tube, light anti-tank weapon, the little fold-up disposable rocket launchers we have.
Yeah.
Those aren't much to carry around, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And especially for a berserker that can carry hundreds of pounds without strain.
Yeah. Well, even a Stinger tube is not that big a deal, is it? I mean, it's pretty light, I think.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never fired one, obviously, but
I've never even seen one outside of pictures.
Yeah. And of course, she is in Special Forces, which means, or she was in Special Forces, which means she got specialized training. So she not only got the generalized military training that the average armed soldier, because not all the armed soldiers were berserkers, probably.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, from what I understand, the berserkers are an elite corps of troops.
Yeah, like we would have with Special Forces or Special Ops. You know, that's where she would be. You know, what is this, Angelus? Yeah,
well, you'd only need one per defense ring.
Yeah, that's right. And they didn't have one, so anyway, that's what that was. But yeah, she's in Special Forces, so she does have that kind of unique training. Now it's unique now because she's the only person, you know, on Earth, you know, that has had this training. You know, now 300 years ago, she was like, well, she wasn't just another grunt, but she was just, well, I would say she was second in command of that squad because it looked like, you know, Gelda certainly was in command, and she was right there with Gelda. So, yeah, she was probably, you know, like the court, you know, well, Gelda wasn't a sergeant. She was more than that. And we've gone over that. You know, she's probably a licensed warrior or something like that. But Alita was certainly like in the military, you get a platoon, you know, it can be anything from 32 to 40 odd, you know, soldiers. And you'll have the leader or the commander of that platoon is going to be a sergeant, you know, and then the person second in command is going to be a corporal, you know, and then after that, privates and stuff like that. And you could even have multiple corporals, but only one of them would be second in command, you know, and that's kind of where she was, I think, especially on that tube. So she's not only got the standard military training that all of those soldiers got, but she got specialized training, you know, being in Special Forces. And on top of that, yeah, that's right, Bad Man. I think she was. She was a licensed master or whatever they call her, Meister in this case, German. But yeah, I think so, you know. And we've conjectured that maybe Alita might have been a high warrior, or she could have been just a warrior. I don't know, you know. Doesn't kind of go into that in the movie, does it? Now, on top of that, well, certainly they entrusted on her to carry out Operation Malwarf, which she didn't do to its completion because that meant she had to commit suicide, and she didn't do that, you know. But in addition to the general military training that those, you know, armed soldiers got, and the specialized training she got being in Special Forces, the Kammer Group, she also was trained in Panzerkunst, which enabled her to fight bigger opponents like, let's say, Gruishka, or eventually, you know, in the Zot, she fought Toji, who was like, what was he like? I forget how big that guy was.
He was
like,
huge.
Yeah.
He was bigger than Gruishka.
Yeah, he was like 5 meters tall or something. Something
in the neighborhood of that, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, you know. So, and she was battling him. She's only 4'11", you know. So I mean, it probably looked interesting if you was to see a fight like that. Somebody that's like 18 feet tall fighting somebody that's not even 5 feet tall. You know, I mean, you know, really. So, but she's got that training, you know, and of course now the zero gravity training is not going to help her that much on Earth. You know, I mean, maybe in the chamber, she could better, you know, kind of hone or better optimize her techniques by being able to see how she does. But in terms of gravity, it's not going to help her, you know, too much, you know. But the main thing with her is, in this particular case, being a warrior like this, you know, she's been taught discipline, you know, which is none of those cyborgs that we know of in the movie had that kind of discipline. You know, yeah, there were some motorball players, like Adjicutty was in the bar, and he wasn't involved in the fight, but he was in the bar when it was going on. He's just sitting there looking at it, you know, going, what the hell? You know, something like that, you know. So, you know, I'm sure that the motorball players have some form of discipline, but not like she has, you know. And her strength, you know, having that antimatter microreactor heart, I know I computed that she could probably bench press 3,200 pounds, you know, and that she could curl 600 to 800 pounds. You know, I mean, no human being can do that. She's orders of magnitude in the berserker body. She's an order of magnitude at least over humans. And we know our girl, you know, she's got that determination and perseverance. And her having that discipline she has better enables her to persevere and make that, you know, achieve that goal, whatever it is, whatever the objective is, she's going to achieve it. Well, those cyborgs that are in the movie, they don't have that. You know, they're just beating up on weak people and collecting the bounty. That's all they're doing. You know, but she's not like that. You know, I mean, she did become a bounty hunter, particularly in the manga, I guess. But, you know, she has that discipline that she has, enables her to keep her head in a fight, you know, like when she fought Makaku, for instance. And even when she fought Grishka, you know, in the movie, you know, like I think I mentioned this before, if a human being, if they could survive this, which they couldn't, but if a human being had their arm cut off and half their body cut off, they would just curl up and say, I'm done, you know, and they'd be gone. Not her. No way. Yeah, I tell you, that was one of the best scenes I ever saw. I just fell in love with this character, boy. When she rammed her hand in Grishka's eye, I mean, oh my God. I said, oh, wow, that's great, you know. So anyway, but none of those other cyborgs would do that. You know, they just wouldn't. You know, they like, for instance, when Stinger was being pulled into that crusher, he started bawling and crying going in there. Alita wouldn't do that. She's cut in half and had one arm, and she still rammed it in his eye, you know, and fuck your mercy. Yep. You know, that's not exactly crying, is it?
I'm not sure he had time to cry, more scream in horror as he gets
I think
ground up
so.
into bottle caps.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, yeah, and I think this speaks to Alita. This is why, now Maxie disagrees with me on this, but that's okay. We can have different opinions. See, I do believe that, I mean, Alita does have a human brain, at least in the, you know, in the berserker body she does. She's an android in the Last Order. But, you know, I believe she's a metahuman myself. And what that just means is she's beyond human. Now, when you think about it, what human do you know could bench press 3,200 pounds? That is, no human can do that. Yep. What human can curl 600 to 800 pounds? No human being can do that. You know, I mean, period. And last but certainly not least, do you know any humans that can generate plasma inherently? Yeah. I don't think so. What is this, bad man? What you got here? Assume someone give up. Maybe not all. Yeah, you're right about that. I mean,
well, that actually brought to mind a story from the Revolutionary War. I can't remember where I read it from. That there was a naval battle between one of the colonists' warships and a British vessel that got real vicious. And one of the people, one of the crew that was actually enlisted to fight on the vessel was a former slave who got hit around the waist by a cannonball that tore him in half.
Ugh.
And he was still alive and actually trying to convince the rest of the crew to throw him overboard because he was afraid he was in the way while they were trying to save the ship.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm.
Well, there's stories of guys that, and I've read somewhere, there's a story of a guy that in World War II that no, Angelus, I cannot bench 3,200 pounds. That's not a thing. So, but anyway, there's a story of a guy that he got shot up real bad. I mean, just shot to smithereens, you know, and he's still alive, and he still kept attacking, going, you know, he was carrying, I guess, a machine gun or something. I don't know, you know, but he was firing at these at the enemy, and he kept firing and firing and firing. And then when they were all dead, when he had killed them all, he dropped dead.
Mm.
It was like by sheer force of will, he kept himself alive until he killed them all, and then he died. You know.
Yeah, there's a number of similar stories all throughout various wars and things of, you know, some individuals who through whatever means ended up, you know, going way beyond what the human body you would think it would normally be able to withstand.
Yeah.
There was also Audie Murphy. I don't know if you remember him.
Yes.
Yeah, he got that one battle that made him real famous where he got shot up real bad, and he was in a burning armored vehicle while it was on fire, used a machine gun and I think some grenades to hold off a Nazi rush so the rest of his unit could get away.
Yeah, he got the Congressional Medal of Honor too, didn't he, Audie Murphy?
At least one, yeah.
Yeah, that guy was awesome right there. He was also he was a pretty good actor too, really. You know, yeah. he did well. You know, so yeah. What is this here? Still don't agree with that android, no matter how functionally similar android she is. You know, bad man, I think I may kind of, now technically, you know, I mean, if you just look at hard facts, yeah, she's an android in last order because she doesn't have any human parts. You know, I mean, she's like a robot. But I agree with you, bad man. I mean, she has still retained her humanity, you know. Now, in last order, she does get cocky a couple of times because she's got that awesome power, you know. But she still maintained that good heart, you know. I mean, she still cared for people and stuff like that, you know. So, yeah, I think I agree with you, at least to some degree, bad man, because yes, our girl maintained her humanity even in the imaginary body, I think.
I think I would go with Bad Man there because even Ito, with his brain chip, he was still very human. I mean, there wasn't no human brain to contain a human consciousness, but he still had a human consciousness.
This is that to your point too, Lee. But yeah, androids are powered by AI. That's right, bad man. But Alita's consciousness is in her. Not a berserker, her imaginos body. So yeah, like I say, she still has her human side. She still does, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna relent. I think I'm thank you for talking me into it, Lee and Badman. I don't have to.
But yeah, that does kind of bring up that androids would have a fully artificially constructed intelligence.
Yeah,
and hers came from a natural born
from
source,
her,
even if it was copied from that source.
Yeah. Let's see, David Dunn. I don't know about that. I don't know about that chaos. I think the bench press record, I'm not sure what that is. It might be 1,000 pounds. I'm not sure. I know the deadlift record was done by the Mountain. Thor, I think is his name even. He deadlifted 1,100 and something pounds. I can't, or 1,200 pounds even. But you know, people, you know, like for me, I can deadlift a lot more than I can bench. So I mean, I think the average, you know, power lifter. if they're doing all three. Now, you know, certainly there's competitions like what I'm going to be going to in 2 weeks, where those guys I compete with, they only do bench press. They don't do anything else. You know, I certainly don't, you know, rank up in the top 3 with those guys, but you know, I can deadlift and squat more than they can. So, you know, that's the way that works. But I don't know about him being able to bench 3,200 pounds. That's a lot, you know, right there, Chaos. I don't know, that's a whole lot. You know, he was pretty remarkable, though. You're right about that. Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot, I guess. Yeah, he is a fictional character. That's right. But still, he's human, even in that movie. So that's a good movie, too. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I guess Samuel L. Jackson kept trying to kill him, I guess. He wouldn't die. Not because he didn't like him. He was trying to find somebody who was invulnerable, you know, is what he was doing. So he was killing all these people off, trying to find somebody who's invulnerable, and he finds him. You know, he gets in 2 airplane crashes and survives both of them without a broken bone, you know. So that's a good movie. I like that. What was that movie called, Chaos? I don't
Unbreakable.
remember. Unbreakable, that's right. Oh, yeah, you said that right here. Yeah. So anyway, that's about all I got, guys, on this one. You know, we kind of talked about, you know, how Alita's weapon is certainly similar to Thor's hammer and Mjolnir. And certainly we talked about, you know, what it means to her. Now, she doesn't need that weapon to actually, you know, she's powerful without that weapon. She doesn't have to have it, but she's got it, you know, and that's a good thing, you know. So, and it is a symbol in a way of her, I wouldn't say worthiness, but the fact that it is optimally constructed to be, you know, kind of consistent with her body. You know, it's finely tuned to her body, you know, is what it is. What is this? Yeah, is the Warrior's Code more like guidelines than actual rules, bad man? You mean as in what Captain Barbosa said in Pirates of the
I was just
Caribbean?
thinking like the Pirate's
Yeah.
Code.
Yeah, it's more of guidelines than actual rules. Because think about a pirate that has to follow the rules. That's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. So it's a good catch, man. But no, what it means though in terms of the Warrior's Code is what we're talking about right here. It just means she's had that training, and she's better mentally equipped to be able to deal with extraordinary circumstances like you might face in combat. You know, whereas those cyborgs that are running around Iron City, they're not equipped with that same kind of mindset, is basically what that is. Would you agree with that, Lee, or is that?
I would think quite a few of them probably became hunter warriors out of necessity more than anything else.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, using their strength and power to overpower weaker opponents, probably out of a need to find some kind of way to make a living, and that seemed like a quick and easy way of doing it.
Yeah.
And others, they might even be adrenaline junkies who are just in it for the excitement of the hunt and the kill.
Yeah, kind of like Amok was, I guess. Well, he was a motorball player, I guess, but you know, yeah. But in her case, she not only has more power than they have, but she knows how to finally focus it. You know, where it has more effect. You know, whereas you know, more optimally focused on what she wants to do. You know, so that's what we're talking about. Warrior's Code. You know, it's not so much rules or guidelines. It's more of a mindset. Yeah, that's right. Commitment's a good word. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because in the military, now, you know, I was never in the military, but I did work with a lot of military guys. And you'd have an objective. You know, here's a good example of this. And our girl, this is where she'd fit in. There may be something you have to go retrieve that's maybe 100 yards away. And your objective is to go get that, no matter how many people are in the way, no matter what the defenses are, what the, you know, what kind of, you know, combatants that are in, you know, between you and that objective. That's not the issue. You go get that objective.
Yep.
You achieve the objective. That's what she's equipped with, you know, and the wherewithal to know how to do that. Not just, well, I'm going to be big, bad, and tough, and I'm going to go get it. You know, I mean, this takes, you know, like she got special forces training. It takes that kind of, you know, kind of a mindset, you know.
Yep.
So anyway, that's kind of what I got. You know, that's all I got for this one, I guess. So this will be a short stream, but you know.
All right.
Any thoughts there, Lee?
Well, I was trying to come up with something, but excuse me.
Well, we don't have to come up with anything, you know. Actually, what is this chaos? That does seem like pretty heavy more ways than one. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's kind of like. Did y'all see that movie, Tombstone?
Yep.
Wyatt Earp asked Doc Holliday what was wrong with Johnny Ringo, and he said he's a guy that has got a hole a big hole right in the middle of him. Well, yeah, that's Destiny Nova. Yeah. Okay, guys, I guess we can move on, I guess. Did we miss anything there, Lee? I don't think we did. Well, anyway, there you see that from that center panel there, Alita loves her Uncle Creek, and that's because he wants that sequel just like she does. And if you got a problem with it, we've been talking about that plasma weapon. There it is right there. Go take it up with her, you know. And you know, you're not going to do so good. Oh, one other thing. That's right, Angelus. Ooh-woo. Yeah, that's right. We got the ooh-woo going, you know. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Angelus would have brought that up. I should have made a slide on that. Damn it. I didn't think about it.
Well, you know, keep in mind for next time.
Yeah, that's right. You had two real pretty pictures of Alita. Just have ooh-woo under it with the hearts and the in love. I'm in love emoji. So anyway, yeah, our girl is she's cute, isn't she? I mean, yeah, don't mistake that cuteness for weakness, though. That's
definitely not.
That's going to be a big problem if you do. So anyway, there's our queen right there, and of course, Rosa is just a phenomenal actor. I mean, she's. I'm telling you, man, she's #1 in the Creeks book in terms of being an actor. You know, I mean, just to see her on stage, you know, she was just freaking magnificent. I mean, there's just no other word I can put on it. You know, I mean, she's just awesome. You know, well, I guess that was the other word. Yeah. But yeah, she was great. She was really nice to Charlie and I. She talked to us for a long time. You know. Even signing autographs with other fans that come up to her, but she kept talking to us as she was signing those autographs. Well, I think it was only like 1 or 2 fans, but anyway, yeah, she is really nice. And I'll tell you, she is a pretty lady, that's for sure, you know, but just a phenomenal actor. I want to give a shout out to Elle Lamont and Jesse Fisher. They brought Screwhead to life. And of course, you know, what I want to see is I want to see Alita and Screwhead team up against Joshigan. That's what I want to see. And they should bring Screwhead back. The Creek may have to write a letter to Cameron or something. Not that he'd read it, but you know, or Disney or somebody. Hey, bring Screwhead back. Come on, man. You know, yeah, Angelus, we know you're jelly. We know that. You know. So anyway, but anyway, all 3 of these are really good at what they do. They're consummate professionals, you know. Certainly Rosa and Elle are just super actors, and Jessie, of course, is as Elle put it, is the most badass stunt woman she ever worked with. So you know, that's really high praise right there, I think. You know, so come on, Disney, the 3 of them deserve this. Come on, give it to us, man. We're tired of waiting on you dragging your feet. So you know, green light that sequel. And we have the Stammtisch after party that we can still do. I can do it for a while, but I got to get off before 6 o'clock my time anyway. But
I
you
can't
know,
really stay myself because I got to get some stuff moved over to my girlfriend's.
oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Congratulate Lee out there in the chat. He's moving in with his girlfriend, so that's pretty cool, I think. But anyway, there's the link if you want to come talk to me. Lee will probably have to get right off, but you know, if you want to come talk to me, I'll hang around for a few minutes, see if anybody shows up. And you know, click on that, I'll bring you in. You know, that would be after the stream is over here, because you know we don't stream the Stammtisch. It's just like a Zoom call, you know, or Microsoft Teams or something like that. So yeah, there you go. AKA says congratulations, Lee. So
thank you.
yeah, cool. Yeah, so join me if you want, you know, and we just chat about Alita, you know, and I can stay on for a while. So you know, join me and we'll have a good old time talking about our girl, you know, because you see she's happy there. She's got that beer. She's going to chug that thing, I think. And we are the Alita Army. We are the most positive fandom on the internet. We are Alita advocates, and we support Alita and Rosa passionately and positively. We're not a toxic fandom. You know, we love to have fun. We love our girl. We love our queen, and we just like to watch the movie and, you know, just enjoy ourselves doing that. And Disney, we are here to stay. You ain't getting rid of us. I mean, you might hope we go away, but we're not going away. That's not happening. That's not even an option. So why is that image there? Well, that image is there because I like it. And I am not only the stream manager and producer, but I'm also the janitor. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer. And I'm the carpenter. I'm the electrician. I'm all these things. So anyway, the video editor, I'm that too, I guess.
Yep.
And to paraphrase Gruishka, I'm only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, and our queen. I'm here for our queen. And of course, all of us in the Alita Army. I'm going to have to add that to that slide, I guess. All of us in the Alita Army are only here for our girl and our queen and each other. You know, we want to support each other and just stay positive. We're going to get that sequel. I know we're going to get that sequel. You know, so anyway, chin up and just kind of keep banging away at it. We'll get it. So that only leaves one thing to do, and that's the call to action. Lee, you and I are the only two who are here to do it. So I guess if people in the chat can just start screaming it if they want. So, okay, on my count of three, Lee. 1, 2, 3.
Film those sequels,
baby. Oh, we did that perfectly. I love it. So, okay, we'll see you next week on the Alita live stream, because Lee is going to read 2 or maybe 3 chapters of his fanfic. So that'll be fun. And we will see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos. Bye.
Take care, guys.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita livestream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.